Pandora's box is about to open wide.
Welcome once again to Pandora's box, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have a very special guest on the show, a lady that I've been a fan of for, it's hard to say, maybe about 2 years now. Angela Autumn, all the way from Nashville, Tennessee. Thanks so much for coming on, Angela.
I love the way you said that. I love the way my name sounds with the accent.
Angela Autumn. Does it sound like way different to how you're used to?
Yes, it sounds cool.
Oh.
You make me sound cool.
Oh, well, I'm glad. To us, you sound really cool. So hopefully it can be a mutually beneficial
Thank
relationship.
you.
But yeah, thanks so much for coming on the show. I think I said to you actually in an email when we were sort of sorting out you coming on as a guest, like you were one of those artists for me that like when I very first heard you, I was like instantly hooked. Because that doesn't happen with like every artist, does it? Like, I mean, there's a lot of people that are like growers, not showers, so to speak. You know, like, like you'll like sort of like you'll hear a couple of things and you're like it's okay, and then maybe you'll listen to an album, and then slowly you'll get into the album. But I think it was I was looking for some music for a show I used to have called The Sheriff's Department, which was all like folk and country, and obviously one of my jobs as like a radio host is to like find like good music to play, obviously. And I was like searching through stuff. I think it was on Spotify at first, and I came across one of your songs. And then the moment I heard it, I liked it so much, I instantly went onto YouTube because I think it's nicer to find like actual like some like video recordings in it and stuff, and like some live stuff. So I went on YouTube like straight away, and I found it's like a live version. Is it called like Western AF or something? Is it like that? Yeah. And it was like you and you're like stood in a stream playing Shooter, like a live recording of you playing Shooter. And I was just like blown away. I like loved it so much. And I literally like instantly looking through your entire back catalogue, like everything I could find. And I can genuinely say you're one of like the very, very few artists, probably like you and Townes Van Zandt, are probably like the only artist that I played pretty much every single week on my show at the Sheriff's Department. Like pretty much. So you probably were randomly getting tagged all the time in like posts of like the Sheriff's Department, and just like who's this like guy dressed as a cowboy, like freaking like as a sheriff, like tagging me all the time. But I was like, yeah, it's just because I loved it, I was like loving everything I could find. I would just like play.
Well, I feel like I'm one of the few people alive that is like as sad as Townes as well.
Oh, so you don't come across as sad though. You see super joyful. You got a lovely smile.
I am so joyful. I'm doing so well and just grateful to be here. I do really identify with Townes' music. I feel like he was a little bit of a misfit in the 70s country movement, but he created so many iconic songs, and it was just, an amazing, seminal writer. So I feel like there's never been another Townes, and there never will be. But he's a huge inspiration.
It's so funny because I've like referred to you to like several people that I've like shown people that I've shown your music, and I've said, because everybody that knows me knows how much of a big Townes Van Zandt fan I am. I'm like his number one fan, man. I know that's like a big thing to say because he's such like a cult classic. I know that there are like a lot of diehard Townes Van Zandt fans out there, but he's like one of my very favorite musicians of all time. And like music was like my first love, so that's saying something. I like a lot of different artists from a lot of different genres, but like he holds a real special place for me. And a bit like similar to you, like I'm known for being, on the whole, like let's face it, we're all complicated people and we all have our bad days, but on the whole I'm like a pretty cheerful guy. But there's something about that melancholy in his music that really resonates with me. And it's like funny because I don't know if you've had like similar stuff, but like I've even had like people say to me before, like Calum, like you seem like a pretty like cheerful guy, but some of the music you listen to is like pretty depressing. And it doesn't seem depressing to me. To me, it just seems sort of like soulful, and like I'm almost like expressing some of my own my own emotions by listening to it, which I think is one of the beautiful things about music. But do you find that at all?
I feel like there's definitely a need for like sad songs and for people to listen to. People need sad songs to like process what they're going through. I had a fan come up to me recently at a show I was doing at Brown's Diner in Nashville, and he said, my favorite songs of yours are like the really sad ones. And sometimes I think that I need to write like like upbeat country songs. Everyone loves the upbeat country, but that was
or like an old school Taylor Swift.
So like there's so much there with Taylor Swift. I can't even. There's so much to unpack there, but it was encouraging because as I've always just picked up guitar when I felt like I needed to process what I was going through. So it's good to know that like other people appreciate the sad songs and the alchemy that is created through the song, and that it's out there and it's able to be shared.
I have to say though, like, I feel the same way. Like I say, like pretty much like all of my favorite songs of yours are like the more like melancholic ones, like the more like the ones that have a bit more of like I can tell that you're pouring your heart out in it, and I think that's maybe why it resonates maybe with people more, because it's like we all obviously have moments in our life where we are dealing with grief for whatever reason, or it doesn't even have to be grief, it's just maybe it's like confusion, sometimes just the grind of life can like wear on you, and to feel that like real thing rather than almost just like major chords, everybody's happy, la la la, like do you know what I mean, like how real is that? Like you feel like that sometimes in glimpses, but in terms of like life overall, life is like about ups and downs, and it's a journey, and there's lots of like highs and lows and in betweens, and so I think that sort of melancholic music does resonate with people, because also when you're alone with your thoughts and you do think about maybe like regrets in your life or things that maybe you not feel comfortable sharing with the rest of the world, but you can listen to an artist and you feel close to them, like because you're sharing that, even though that person's maybe never met you, and you're like thousands of miles away, there's like this connection there, and that's like so special. It's like magic.
That's a great point. It makes me so happy to hear that you recognize that. I've always been the one in my family who was just kind of okay with saying like how it is and just telling it how it is, and as a songwriter I try to be truthful with myself about my own shadow and my own mistakes, and so maybe that's the songs are kind of like, I don't know, I think, have you ever heard the term like confessional songwriter?
Yeah.
I don't know, but just being really upfront about.
That's a nice way of looking
at it. Because for me, like songwriting isn't really about a persona per se. It's like, let me show you the deepest part of me. Instead.
I think that's quite brave as well, because I think that's, I'm just being honest. I'm not like I probably wish I wasn't so much like this, but I think that's something that I struggle with a little bit as a musician, is like showing yourself to the world. So I think that shows like a bravery as well on your part of just being like, this is me and this is what I think, and almost like showing yourself bare bones to people. That's like brave as well.
I think anyone who's writing music is pretty brave.
Yeah, for sure. It's beautiful.
It's definitely like a step towards getting to know yourself. So like, good for you.
It can almost like feel like therapy sometimes, I feel, as well. Like when you're with songwriting, it's a real way to express what you're going through. Yeah, like really cathartic. Like if you do have something that's like, that is just a really good way to express it and
get
just,
it out of you.
I felt like rather than talking to people, even sometimes I'll like write some music, and that'll be what kind of gets me through the situation a lot of the time.
And I think that's where like all the good tracks are as well, when you like feeling something and you sit down with your like guitar or whatever and you start playing and you like instantly write a song, not because you're sat there thinking I need to write a song, or I want to write a song,
but you need to express something.
It will just come out, and you're just capturing lightning in a bottle. That's when the magic happens.
Yeah, it's so beautiful and kind of magical.
I hope you don't mind me, I hope you don't mind me bringing it up, but I saw the other day, I'm really sorry to hear that you like lost a friend or something, and you did like you put up like a really nice banjo tune on like Instagram, and that's like such a beautiful song, but I could like feel in that like how genuine that was, and how that you just like poured all your soul into that, and that's exactly what we're talking about.
Totally. Yeah, that was a rough thing that was definitely hard it was in my hometown, actually, someone I knew from my hometown, and it was hard, like, I think like like 1,000 people showed up to the funeral. Just devastating. But when I woke up that day, I like picked up my banjo, and the first thing that came out, it was about Emma, the girl that had passed. So I just felt like sharing it was, important to remember her.
Yeah, like lament
so
her.
So she feels. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a lament to her.
Yeah, she meant a lot. So, but yeah, not every experience needs to be turned into a song, but that was one that I definitely felt like could be and needed to be. So
yeah, for sure. One thing that I thought would be really interesting to talk about, Angela, as long as you don't mind, I thought would be really interesting as well for people that are listening, whether they already do know you or don't, almost like a get to know you, because obviously pretty much everything I know about you is like through your music or like little bits and glimpses I've seen from like stuff you put up on Instagram. But I thought it'd be really interesting, and I usually do this with like all of our guests because I just find it interesting myself. It's almost like hear almost like your life story a little bit, like almost like go through in order if you don't mind talking about that. So like
sure.
like where you were born, like where were you born?
Sure, I was born in Western Pennsylvania, so beside Ohio, above West Virginia. Close to the city of Pittsburgh. That's where I was born. I was born in a rural area on a snowy day, kind of just in like a very small little house in the woods.
Sounds great. That's like snowy little house in the woods. That's like peak living.
Yeah, I mean, man, I love the winter time and what else?
So like what were your parents like? What did they do for like a living and stuff? And
yeah, my dad, he had kind of like a construction business. He was a contractor. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom for the first 10 years of my life. She was really into crafting.
What sort of stuff would she craft?
She would craft. So, are you familiar with like a gourd?
Like like a vegetable.
Gourds. Yeah, she would grow them and craft them. My dad had hunting dogs.
Was he a hunter?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I suppose why would you have hunting dogs if you weren't? I suppose.
He was like a hunter. Yeah.
I remember you put up a picture of your old man on Instagram a while back. It's hard to say how long ago it was, but I remember I thought at the time when I thought he looks like a cool guy. I thought like he looks like I thought he looks like my kind of guy. Like he was quite like he was like just like a cool man's man. You know,
he was like a manly man.
Yeah, like a cool man's man. Yeah.
If I can say that.
I thought it seemed like that from the picture. I was like, oh, Angela Woodham's dad looks cool.
He was really cool. Yeah, my dad, I love him, and my mom too. And so I think my parents really wanted me to like go into maybe like be a lawyer or something like more
very
like
different than what you do.
They wanted, I mean, I think that they were like, okay, you know, we have a daughter here. We have like one daughter. Let's like, what's the highest, you know,
so you're an only child?
Everything. Yeah. I'm an only child. But I asked for a guitar when I was 9 or 10 and just, I mean, there wasn't much to do, to be honest. Like, I didn't hang out with that many kids until I was in my teens.
Really? What, you just naturally introverted or?
I mean, just kind of by default, like, people lived very far away, and, like, I didn't really have...
You didn't have neighbors much?
I didn't have neighbors that were my age.
What about
they
school?
Were all just, like, old people. School was, like... Yeah, I went to school. School was far away, so that was my, like, social time. How
did you get there? Did your parents take you, or was it, like, a school bus? Or
they took me.
Yeah. How many miles from your house was it?
I don't know, like, 20.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you're like 20 miles out in the sticks sort of thing. In the sticks.
Yeah.
Do you say that in
the sticks?
Yeah, that's what we say.
By the creek.
Yeah, like, yeah. And we say like in the sticks, you know, like you're in the sticks, that means you're like really rural, like you're out in the sticks. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would just play, like, just learn all of the songs. I learned a lot of folk songs, honestly.
So did you you got a guitar when you were 9. Did you like instantly fall in love with it?
No, I thought it was weird. I just like, I was like, whoa, cool, okay. It took me 2 years to really like dig in, but my guitar teacher, she asked, like, I don't think anyone in my life was like expecting any of this. It was all just like, well, no one, my parents didn't tell me to do it. No one like told me. My guitar teacher said, we have a recital. I think I was 12. We have a recital. And I said, she's like, well, you should sing. I was like, okay, I'll sing a song. So I sang a Corinne Bailey Rae song called Put Your Records On. And it just flowed really naturally. And after that, I kept performing and just accumulating more and more songs and writing. So it was just a really fun thing and a blessing to be able to play music. And I'm the only musician in my family, so
you're the only one.
Yeah,
that's so crazy to me, because like you have what I like refer to as like the Holy Trinity, which is like really like elite tier voice and guitaring and songwriting, which is like such a almost, I think it's so rare to have like all three as like a singer songwriter. That, you know, I mean, I know you play with other people sometimes, but you don't rely on them at all. Like you can play on your own and you're like, you know, you're hunky-dory.
Well, thank you.
You know?
Thank you. I never really studied guitar, but I did study, I feel like just poetry, and studying poetry and literature has really helped me develop as a songwriter. And then listening to all the people that we love.
Yeah.
Towns and all of them.
Yeah, so you like started gigging at 12 and you just like literally just never stopped since then.
No, I mean, and I've done it a lot, like especially in my teens. I was playing like 4-hour bar gigs by myself.
Wow, that's so impressive, because that's like a long set list. Like for like anybody. Yeah, sorry, go on.
I just had endurance. I don't know. Now I wouldn't do that, but yeah.
Apart from anything else, even just like the memory to like remember all those songs, like it can get stressful as a musician, can't it? Like, okay, do I remember all the chords and the lyrics to this? Like, like so for like 4 hours, that's so impressive.
Yeah, I mean, that's why people have iPads now.
That's like the reason they were invented.
Yeah, like, you know, okay, let me just see, like, can you play Country Roads by John Denver? Okay.
Yeah. Do you find like naturally though, like do you need to rely on stuff like that much, or do you find that you do find it easy to remember like your songs and stuff like that? Like do you have to like practice loads leading up to gigs, or is it pretty in there, or?
I feel like the gigs are the practice, and the more gigs I play, like the better that I am as a musician. I do a lot of writing on my own, but I don't really do a lot of like I'll practice guitar parts, obviously, because that's the trickier thing. So yeah, the muscle, keeping the muscle memory up is super important. Yeah.
I think that like folk music in general though, and especially that sort of like American, you know, like Americana, like sort of folky country style, whichever way you want to describe it, like the guitaring is so freaking good. Like in all of those tracks, whether it's Townes Van Zandt or any of the artists, you know, there's so many artists I could mention, do you know what I mean? Like yourself, so many other artists, and it's like that, you get so used to just that multitasking style of guitar, while you're doing the rhythm and finger picking like loads, but like really intricate finger picking with singing over the top. Like there's not many genres that require that level of guitaring with singing at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of rock bands, you know, for a start, you've got a lot of like, you tend to have like fair lot amount of musicians in a rock band, and like if you're like a front man with just doing some rhythm guitar, some basic chords, like that's so doable. That's like so doable, isn't it? You know, compared to some of the stuff that like you or Townes are doing.
It's also like what you're singing, right? Like, there's just so much interplay. There's so much that you can do, and there's so many tricky things that artists do that like, I mean, I can't even like with timing, or they could be playing in like 5 and then singing some crazy melody over, you know, singing in 5
like
or playing in 5.
Like a different time signature or something.
Like a different time signature with singing. So there are a lot of things that that we can do as like guitarists and singers that you know are just it's like different. It's different.
Yeah.
It's different like level of playing.
I think that's the amazing thing about music, though, isn't it? And like being a musician, like you could be like an off the scale, like frickin' like folk and country style guitarist, and then you might randomly like get into frickin' like metal music and just start playing, you know, want to play some like Eddie Van Halen type stuff or something. Do you know what I mean? But it's like there's always going to be far more that you can learn than you can get like super good at. But that's almost like the fun of being a musician, isn't it? Because you can always get better. You can always add little things to your repertoire. You might go through like a little 6-month period of like getting super into something that you've never gotten into before, and then you're like learning from that genre, and that will like give you things that will make you like a better musician overall and stuff.
Yeah.
But like,
yeah.
No, sorry, Angela, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, yeah, there's a lot to pick up and digest, and I wonder, I wonder like if you listen to an artist, if you could tell what they've been listening to, and
I think it's quite fun to do that.
Songs. Yeah.
Like I don't know if you're much into like rock music and stuff like that, but like I'm a real big fan of that band Typo Negative.
Oh, okay. Oh, I just listened to Typo Negative. That's so weird.
What?
My friend just sent me Typo Negative, and
Serious?
I was jamming.
What, they literally just said like check out this band?
He just sent me a track. I could like look and see, but yeah. What were you gonna say about Typo Negative?
No, I was just gonna say that they're like one of my favorite bands, but they're almost known as like a goth, almost like a gothic metal band. But like beautiful songwriting. So in that regard, like I do see parallels between, say, like, you know, Typo Negative and like a Townes Van Zandt and stuff like that, you know, because it's very almost like melancholic and very expressive, but very beautiful music. But it's like with him, I know that his like biggest inspirations, like one of his biggest inspirations anyway, was like this band called the Sisters of Mercy. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they were like a really big band.
Irish?
No, Sisters of Mercy. They were like a British band. I don't know. They might have been Irish. I can't remember. I don't know if they were from somewhere in the UK vicinity. But I don't know if they were like English, Scottish, Irish, anyway.
Who knows?
Yeah. But they were like a real big band in the 80s, and they had their most famous track was called Temple of Love, if you know that one. In the Temple of Love. Such a like that is a banger. Angela, put that on after this and just party.
Okay.
Honestly, right? Just
on
party.
the cue.
Yeah, like really loud, crank it up, party. You will not regret it. You'll be like, oh yeah, this is so good. But
Calum, I will take this recommendation.
Yeah.
Heart.
Yeah, thanks. You won't regret it. But so one of his favorite bands was Sisters of Mercy, which was like a lot of people call it like post-punk in the UK, but it was like this like gothic movement somehow came out of the punk scene. You know, the more like Sex Pistols and the Damned sort of punk scene, and the Damned themselves got into like quite a lot of gothic music. But yeah, one of the things that came out of that post-punk scene in the UK was bands like Sisters of Mercy, and they're very gothic, but they use like a drum machine randomly, which is very 80s, isn't it? But they've got like this like intense guitaring, and they've got this female vocalist who often does a lot of stuff called was it Ofra Haza, is it? She's like a really good singer in her own right, but she like did a lot of stuff with them. And anyway, Typo Negative sounds like a cross between Sisters of Mercy and Black Sabbath, which was like Peter Steele, who's the lead singer of Typo Negative's other favorite band. But it's like in that regard, going back to what you were saying, it's almost like if you want to know how Typo Negative got their sound, listen to Sisters of Mercy and listen to Black Sabbath, sort of put them together, and you're like, okay, that makes sense. You know, like that makes sense.
Yeah, I was totally wondering how they got their sound, and now I just now I have 2 more artists to dig into.
That's so cool though that your friend sent you. Sent you like
He sent me I Don't Want to Be Me.
Oh yeah, that is a great track. That's like,
and I was like
yeah. Did you listen to it?
I was listening to it. I was like driving out of New York City, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it's so good, isn't it? It's so good. That guitar bit, that. It's got so much energy, hasn't it? It's got so much energy. You've got to listen. Also, like, put in your check out the whole album October Rust. It's called October Rust. It's by Typo Negative. That track actually isn't on the album, but in my opinion, October Rust is their is my favorite album of theirs, and it's very much like it's quite onomatopoeic, if I'm going to get all fancy with my words. You know, so like the album is obviously called October Rust, and the whole album has this like autumnal, wintry, dark feel to it, but it's almost like it's like cozy. It's like cozy, autumnal. You know, you can imagine those like leaves falling, and it's like quite like intense and romantic at the same time. Do you know what I mean? And Peter Steele's really deliberately over the top with his lyrics as well, so he gets like quite graphic with some of his lyrics, but it's like it's funny. You know, it's like quite, but like in a good way. You know, it's great.
I love, what is onomatopoeic?
Onomatopoeic, it means like something which sounds like what it is. So like October Rust is the name of the album, and the album sounds like October
and rusty.
And it sounds like autumnal, like it's a rusty or Octobery album. Like it's a bit Halloweeny, it's a bit autumnal. It's like you can imagine Dark Nights.
Would be like bang. Yeah. If you say bang, that's like onomatopoeic.
So that's a really simple example of onomatopoeic. The word bang, it sounds like what it is. But
I have to listen.
Yeah, and it's like you can just imagine like sitting in a candlelit room with a glass of red wine and being all intense, just because you can, you know, just because why not? yeah, damn right. So yeah, check out October Rust. But yeah, sort of getting back to your story. So like, obviously you said, you know, you started playing the guitar. Sorry, you played your first gig when you were like 12. Never sort of looked back. Were your parents like really like? I know you said that none of your family were musicians, which I find crazy because I think often you expect almost like that if one person is really good at something in a family, maybe somewhere back there was like it's like in the blood, you know, it's like makes sense, doesn't it, you know? But even though they weren't musicians themselves, were they like really into music? Like when you were growing up, were there like tunes in the background all the time? And if so, what sort of tunes?
Yeah. I think my parents were as into music as anyone, but like my dad really loved old folk music and 70s music. And I think he really appreciated music, and so I think it makes sense that like me as his daughter would play music because he appreciated it so much. And like I could feel how much my dad, like I could feel like his connection to the albums, like John Denver, Neil Young, James Taylor were just some big ones off the top of my head. Like when we were driving, and I just felt the depth of it, and it was so moving to me that I wanted to almost like give that back to my family.
Yeah. And
I think that was maybe one of the reasons why I started playing.
Wow, that's so amazing. That's such an interesting way to put it. Like that, like you were so inspired by the music your dad was playing that you wanted to like give that back to them. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that before. That's nuts. In like a really good way.
Yeah, it was, I mean, and I was into the music too. So I loved like all of those songwriters, and I loved music, and now I live in Nashville, so just surrounded and immersed by it.
I find Nashville, like musically speaking, one of the like most intriguing places on the planet. Yeah. Because Nashville, it's like wherever you are on the planet, Nashville has this like reputation of like this music hub, and it's like it's so cool. Like I've been saying to Drew for like over a year now, like we need to go to Tennessee. Like we need to go to Nashville. You know, I'd like to check out like Memphis and stuff like that as well, because I actually know some bands that are from Memphis, but it's a really cool band called Lady Owl, who are like this sort of like bluesy rock band. Yeah, I would absolutely find it like fascinating to go there, and I just know that. I mean, obviously, I'm generalizing, but there's that sort of reputation as well that like places like Tennessee have. That Southern hospitality. I know that I would like that. You know, I'm like a pretty an open and loud guy. You know, so I think I would like the sort of the friendliness. Like I hate going to like London here in the UK, because in London, like if you smile at someone, they'll like scowl at you, like why are you looking at me, you know? And I think like, and I think, man,
on
like,
the tube, just like that, yeah.
And I think like, what's your problem, man? You know? Yeah, I think like, what's your freaking problem, man? You got to like funny with someone because they're smiling at you, like Jesus, you know? Do you know what I mean? But I can imagine like maybe, I don't know, I've never been there, but I can imagine maybe like New York's a bit like that or something like that. But it's just not really for me, like New York City, but like. I love that. That's that whole idea of Southern hospitality and just the food, the music scene, like everything that comes with it. I know that I would just love it. So like me and Drew have got to come over, and it's like, you know, I'd love to just like come and watch some of your stuff live if you were like around doing some gigs at the time, and just, you know, maybe even me and Drew get like a gig over there or something. I don't know how people would like respond to like, I don't know, like do people at all like listen to like British folk music? Like
yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I think I have a really good friend named Dylan Walsh who's from the UK, and he's had like he's had a great career here, and I feel like people just love like y'all's kind, because you just are naturally like upbeat and very like open, and I feel like you'd have such a good time here. So come over and we'll do.
Yeah, that'd be
I'll
so amazing.
introduce you to some folks.
Oh, that'd be so good. I tell you,
so
it'd be
cool.
great as well, because like me and Drew have like done some you know, when we've done like things like this in the past. Like for instance, we went to this folk festival in the UK in Kent like a couple of months ago, which is like the east coast of the UK. We're on the west coast of the UK.
Nice.
Yeah, we met some bands there, and we did like an interview sort of like we're doing, but in person. And then they had like gigs like right afterwards, and we like filmed the gig, and like, but like, you know, did it all through the
sound desk.
Yeah, did it all through the desk and everything like that. So it was like awesome quality, you know, and filmed them. And then it was really nice, because then we could put this little package together afterwards. Like, to do that with you would be like so good. You know what I mean? And obviously we would like send that to you, so it'd be like free content for you. You could do what the hell you wanted with it, but then we could put it out on the radio and stuff, and put it out in the UK as well. That would just be like, it would just be a great thing to do, you know, just like hang out and like have some beers. Do you like beer?
Do I like beer?
Yeah. Well, I thought, well, you know, I'll say like hang out and have some beers. I thought maybe you don't like beer.
I've never like not liked beer. The problem is probably that I like it too much. Like I can sit and just like, you know, and then, but that would be fun, you know, to like show what to show people what the life is like over here.
Yeah, that's the thing as well, because I didn't even think about it like that. But yeah, like from, I guess, like, let's face it, most of the people that be watching it where we put it out would be people from the UK. So it would almost be like this cool, nice little glimpse into Nashville life, and what it's like being a musician there in the scene, and what it's like being a spectator in the scene, and just everything, you know, because...
I'm so down. Like, this sounds amazing.
Right,
we got to go American, man.
Yeah, we got to do it. We got to do it.
American.
Say like after New Year, I'll start like seriously looking into it, and it'd be great as well, because I can obviously like message you in that if you're cool with that, and I can, you know, sort of if we need any like help with anything. Obviously, you're like you'd be able to know all the good places to go and everything like that.
I'm pretty connected, yeah. Okay, connected.
Yeah, I can imagine. I love what you said.
And I'll tell you the cool places too. Like I won't tell you like the tourist places. I'll give you like the underground, like the good stuff.
The local
where towns
info.
used to play, man. Yeah. Let's go we'll go to the places where towns used to play.
Man, that'd blow the
I have to tell you a
off.
story. I went to his house, the one that in Mount Juliet. I hung out with his daughter, Katie Bell.
That's so cool.
This was 3 years ago, and we were all like up in the house and stuff. And my friend at the time, he said, there's this corner of the house, and there's a window, and there's like the door was shut, and no kidding, like the paper started to ruffle, and the dog started barking. And my friend was like, dude, that was Towns. And I don't know, but I think,
Man, even just the chance of that is getting me excited. Do you know what I mean? Do you just like start breaking out like a cover of like a Towns song?
Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible that, all of it.
Yeah. No, yeah, it'd be so awesome to come over. Have you ever like done any like covers of Towns Van Zandt songs just out of
Yes, I have.
Which
I have
ones?
one. I have one like
because I haven't ever found one. Is that like in your personal repertoire?
I have one recorded. It's Snowing on Raton.
Oh yeah.
I have it recorded. I think. Oh, what's another one that I do? I've done No Place to Fall a couple
That's a
times
beautiful
on a
song.
podcast.
If I had no place to fall, and you needed to, could I count on you? Lay me down. Sorry, I'm just randomly just like singing those. I wouldn't tell you no lies. I don't believe it. You just like beatbox into it, yeah. It's like free.
I don't believe it's white. You got pretty eyes.
Won't you lay me down?
Yeah.
We should do like a live version of that together when we come over. No.
We should. Let's do it. Yeah.
Sick.
You know it? You know it on guitar?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll play harmonica. Tear it up.
Get Drew playing as well,
tear it
because
up.
Drew's a ridiculously good guitarist as well. Like super good. Drew was
Drew
was like a Yeah, like really good acoustic guitarist. Like I don't know if you've heard of this guy called like Tommy Emmanuel, but Drew's like a really good finger picky like Tommy Emmanuel style guitarist. But he was also a lead guitarist in a metal band in the UK that played like some big festivals and stuff. So like yeah, Drew's a pretty good like all rounder. He can
You're making me blush, man.
He can shred some Eddie Van Halen, or he can pick you like some crazy picking as well. Yeah. So we'll get Drew up. Me, you, Drew.
He does both.
Yeah, we'll blow the roof off Nashville.
He can do both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool though. I didn't know that like they're like, you know, that like people in like Nashville and that sort of like were into sort of like British folk as well, or like, you know, or at least up for listening to it. But I think it's really interesting because obviously where I am a Brit and I'm into like British folk music, and then how it evolved in the US, because obviously like the American style of folk music in that country, it came out of the European style. Obviously, like people like European settlers in the States were playing British folk songs, like a lot of the British folk songs that are like old school British folk songs that like nobody knew who written. You know, they're like 500, 600 years old, and they're like were like found in little newspaper clippings in like from some old newspaper in some library somewhere in the UK that was like in this newspaper in like Plymouth or something, and there'd just be like some lyrics and maybe if you're lucky some chords of like an old folk song. No one knows who wrote them, and obviously the European settlers would have gone over and like, you know, your style of folk music came out of that. So it's like it's the same thing. It's just like you evolved out of that, you know, out of that style, and gave it that. I guess it's like because everyone was living that Wild West lifestyle, like that fused with the style. Whereas the British folk style is a bit more like wizards and pixies in the woods. You know?
Yeah, it's like a gay old lad came out of the woods. He found a fair maid drinking from the brook.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. You're literally, that is.
But I would never do that because I feel like I would just, it would just be like I don't know. It just feels like someone else should do that.
I think if you want to do it, do it. As a British person,
I love pixies. I love wizards and pixies.
Well, there you go. What more do you need?
We just don't have them here. Man. I don't think that there are as many wizards and pixies in the States as there are over where you guys are.
A lot more cowboys, but less wizards.
More cowboys. You're not going to see as many wizards, but there are wizards. Straight up.
Yeah.
Straight up, you'll see like a few.
Maybe even like a cowboy wizard if you get really lucky.
That'd be cool. Cowboy
That's like
wizard.
a crazy fusion. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Goblins
Sheriff wizard.
Oh yeah, sheriff wizard. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, like just a little sheriff's badge, but you're a wizard.
That can be your like
my niche when I come to Nashville.
Sheriff wizard.
The sheriff wizard is here.
How did you get the name for the sheriff's department radio?
I'm just really weird, and I thought it would sound. Oh, I can tell you exactly how actually.
Where's your hat? Is your hat there?
I got a cowboy hat. Yeah, I can't really put it on over my headphones.
I got you.
But let's just pretend that looks cool. Well, I can tell you exactly how I came up with actually the sheriff's department now. I'm a pretty odd fellow, to be honest with you, Angela, right? If you knew me well, you would know this, right? And
he's odd, folks.
Yeah. And I was actually in Greece, and I was on my way back from Greece, and then I was waiting in the airport in Crete, and it was called Heraklion Airport. And then for some reason, I just thought to myself, I just want to record a video of myself where I say that my name is Sheriff Hoyt, and that I am I am in Heraklion Airport in Crete, checking out for like international like trafficking or something like that. And I just like, I literally just put it up as like a story on my Instagram just so my friends could be like, oh, Calum's being weird again. But then it like stuck with me, and then for a little while after that, I just couldn't help myself. I just every now and again would just suddenly just like spring into I want to be my little Sheriff Hoyt character. And so like, yeah, I would just like record myself doing like weird videos. Like it was like at one Christmas, I like filmed like a really weird little video of me having like a Mexican standoff with a gnome, where like I had like a gun pointed at a gnome, and I was like, I wanted people to act like thinking that we were like, yeah, in this Mexican standoff, like me and this gnome, but I had like shades on and a cowboy hat. And then obviously as I was doing radio stuff, I naturally wanted an outlet for all of my, you know, Gillian Welch, people like yourself, Christina Vane, Townes Van Zandt, Johnny Cash, all the legends, you know, Waylon Jennings, yeah, so I thought, right, why would I do it as myself, which is like boring, you know, when, you know, Calum, it'd be way better to do it as Sheriff Hoyt. So so I got some photos taken of myself. My mate Josh is a really good photographer, and I got him to take some pictures of me, with a little sheriff. I bought like a little sheriff's badge, and man, this is so silly. Man. I went with my sheriff's hat and some shades, and I was like, yeah, this is good. This is my sheriff's department. So I like the idea that I was almost like in my head when I was broadcasting the show, I was at the sheriff's department. Like literally at a sheriff's department, like broadcasting the radio from there. That's what was going in my fantasy world, Angela. Anyway, so that's the story of it.
So cool, you got into the character.
Yeah, I can't help it. I just sort of do stuff like that.
That's great.
Weird alter egos and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we need more of that.
Yeah, I say that's like I've got like other ones as well, to be honest, but I won't bore you going into them.
Like, aren't you a pirate too?
Pirate? Oh well, yeah. Well, that's what everyone used to call me when I was a teenager. It just because I guess like I went to a metal gig. Sorry, let's say this isn't supposed to be interviewing you, not you interviewing me. But
no, I also I have something after this. But
okay. Well, but anyway, I went to a metal gig and I had like really long hair. And where we're from in the West Country, that's where like if you watch pirate stuff, like for instance Blackbeard, the famous pirate, he was from the West Country. So when you're like like that's a West Country accent, and you've probably
from where we are in Somerset.
So where we are in Somerset, if you go out proper into the sticks,
oh my god,
yeah,
that's where they come from. You see,
right? Yeah, if you go out proper into the sticks, so like. I'm trying not to sound like too much of a country bumpkin, like our version of a country bumpkin, because I don't want you to find it hard to understand me. But you probably can tell every now and again, like I drag my R's, for example, like it's a West Country thing to do.
R's.
So yeah, so we're from the West Country. I sort of talk a bit like that, and I had like really long hair, and I went to a metal gig, and I was in a mosh pit, and one of my teeth got knocked out. This tooth got knocked out.
Shoot, man.
And then I had like it was a good time. But I had like I remember like my tooth my tooth like wedged between these like floorboards, and I was really trying to like get it out at the end of the gig after the end of the night, and I couldn't shift it. But anyway, it was all good. But so I had this like missing gap tooth thingy. And I guess I just looked full like a pot. And at the time, at that stage in my life, I am a repented man nowadays. But back in those days, I guess I was like a bit of a wild guy. I guess like I used to just like drink beer every day, like, and if it wasn't beer, it was like vodka, and it was just like So people were like, pirate, yes, pirate, like what's on pirate, So that's why I'm Calum the pirate, just because I know that some people know me more as pirate. Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, what were you going to say though? Because you said that you were going to say something else as well. So.
Oh, I wanted to add to the commentary about British folk artists.
Yeah,
and like, I have a good friend over here. You should check out Josh O'Keefe.
Josh O'Keefe, right? Let me just quickly put that
He's a really good he's just doing amazing stuff. Josh O'Keefe, and I believe he's from the UK. And then Sam Shackleton. Right. I've been seeing a lot of really good videos from him. So that's why I know that there's like a broader interest in British folk, and I've loved what I've heard. Gems on VHS does videos with both of them.
Nice.
And I did a show with Josh. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, because there is such a good folk scene here in the UK. Like, the problem is it's not mainstream, so it's really hard for folk artists to make a living in the UK. But there's so many good musicians. Like, I could send you some stuff. Like, say, for instance, this guy, like Sam Brothers, who was one of the guys that we interviewed and recorded his set in over in Kent a couple of months ago. His main inspiration was like Bob Dylan, and he loves Towns as well. I had a real big conversation with him about Towns, and he really fuses almost like you can see, because obviously his style is predominantly British folk, but he's got this really heavily. Just because you are the sum of your inspirations, aren't you? So like because he loves Bob Dylan and that, you can hear that in his music. But I think that you'd love him. Like, he's got a great voice, great songwriter, and almost you can tell it's almost like a bit of Jeff Buckley randomly in his stuff as well, like almost like this weird mixture between almost like Jeff Buckley, like Bob Dylan, and I don't know, somebody else that I can't quite place. But yeah, really good stuff. So I'll send you some of his stuff. Sam Brothers, really lovely guy as well.
Please do.
That'd be super cool. Sorry, get back to sort of like, I'm so bad at like branching off topics. I'm like so bad, I literally will go off on like a freaking half-hour tangent. But yeah, as I said, when I sort of like go back to like your story, so, you were saying you started playing gigs when you were like 12, never sort of looked back. Your dad super inspired you listening to when you were in his car, listening to all of that, was it like Neil Young and all those good artists? And you want to sort of give that back. Like, what was like high school like for you? Like, did you like high school, and sort of like what was like, how did you get on in high school?
In high school, I was kind of like rebellious teenager. I loved art. I was like a really big visual artist, and I loved to paint. And then I got really into, someone gave me, so like I would be like in the art room trying to connect it to music, listening to like the Velvet Underground, or we would just be playing like, I was in high school in like 2010 to 2014, so there was kind of this like folk punk revival going on. So my friends and I would go to like catch a bunch of folk punk bands, or we would be,
well, like Dead Kennedys, that sort of thing.
No, not even that, like lighter, like, oh man, like not Dead Kennedys, that was like before me.
Yeah, that was like my generation.
Hardcore.
Really old.
Yeah, I wasn't like Dead, but I did know the Dead Kennedys. And then I'm trying to think like what's like appropriate to share about my like the breadth of my being. I have a very like wide being. Like my being isn't like, I wasn't just like sitting like, I played guitar, but like I was a wild kid. Like we went to raves, and I don't know if you know what a rave is. But
yeah, we have raves in England loads, yeah.
We would go to raves in the city, and I mean,
are they the same as raves over here? So you're talking like big rigs out in the middle of nowhere, like massive sound systems, and you would just get like essentially like super wrecked and just be partying all night. Yeah,
which I shouldn't have been doing at that age. But then I feel like I discovered, someone gave me a disc drive, like a little thumb drive.
Yeah, well, like a dongle, we call it. We call it
a dongle. Yeah, they gave me a dongle, right? And I was like, "Thank you. Like this is like a positive thing. Like they're giving me a positive like thing to change my life." It was some rando dude. So here you go. I was like, I don't know you, and it had like Simon and Garfunkel, Beatles, like Bob Dylan, all the music that like he was like, here you go.
Shout out that guy.
Maybe check out this
random
music.
Dude.
Yeah, I don't remember who it was. Maybe check this out. And so then I got really into like folk music, and I feel like I had like kind of like a breakthrough of like self, I guess. Whereas, I just wanted to be like a better person and like not kind of like squander my life away, which I think we've all had like moments like that.
It's like an epiphany.
Yeah, we all have moments like that where you're like, I'm not living my life like to my fullest potential, and maybe there's some other. So I think that was cool that like music was that gateway, and I started to channel the songs more, and like all the emotions I had been feeling that were like stuck emotions for so long, and like that was important to me. And then I just like pursued the heck out of music as much as I could in my hometown, and then in like university, until I really couldn't do that in that space anymore, because I wanted like more like expansion around what I was doing. And
sorry, did you say you were doing that in university?
Yeah, in university I studied English.
Oh, cool.
Because it was like the closest thing. You probably never heard of it.
Oh. I just don't know. Maybe I have. Maybe I haven't.
It's called Duquesne University. It's spelled Duquesne. It's like Duquesne,
what
but
state
it's
was
French. That? In Pennsylvania.
Oh, that was still in Pennsylvania. So you were still living in Pennsylvania at the time?
Yeah, and I was like biking to my gigs and like doing all kinds of stuff. It was such a busy, crazy time. And then after that, I moved to Nashville.
So you went straight from Pennsylvania to Nashville. Was that specifically because of the music scene?
Yeah, I think it was like maybe there was a year in between, but I just wanted to like move here, and obviously I've traveled a lot outside of Nashville since being here, like all over the country. So
that's travels. So cool.
But I don't know, is that enough like background? I feel like my life is just like all these different moving parts, and now I'm like a musician, but at the same time I don't feel like I'm just a musician.
Well, no, you don't have to be completely defined by just one thing. Like music is something you do. It doesn't define you. You are Angela Orton. It's one of your
exactly.
It's the sum. It's like you are the sum of your parts, and that's one of your parts.
Right. So like falling, like it's always been with me, and like it's like a huge part of my identity, and it's what I'm doing. But there have been many like threads of spirituality and like just lots of things, lots of good.
Do you feel
stuff.
that you've always been like a spiritual person, or did you sort of get into it at a certain stage, or?
I wasn't always really that spiritual. I don't think I connected my thoughts and actions to what I did for like a really long time. Probably not until I was like in my early 20s.
Yeah.
Did I really start to think about what I did and what I was creating?
I think like most people, there's like a level of maturity you need to start thinking like that, and I think you just don't really have that until you're in your 20s. You know?
Yeah.
Because when you're like a child, when you're a kid, and when you're a teenager, you're so busy just like being. Like you are just being whoever you are naturally, aren't you? And then it's not really until you get to like your early 20s and you start almost like becoming so self-aware that you're like, is actually what I'm doing like the best thing for me? Am I going down like a path that isn't the best path for me? You start thinking all these things, don't you? And then it's like that can lead to like what you said you had, which was like an epiphany, that moment where you're like, am I squandering myself? Should I get myself on a different track? It's a beautiful word, that as well, epiphany, isn't it?
Epiphany is beautiful, yeah. That's what all the songs are like about. I'm gonna get drunk and I sure will regret it because I know just what I'm gonna do. That's a bluegrass song. We all know, like, it's in the music.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we were talking obviously about our shared love of like Towns, but I mean, Towns like hit stuff hard, didn't he, you know? Like all his life.
Yeah. There's a great a novel or biography by Kevin Eggers, which I would definitely check out if I were you. It's like it's by his road manager, Kevin Eggers, and he just like it's like a deep dive into all the crazy stuff that Towns did and like what daily life was like with him, and it was a trip, man.
Yeah, I bet. I love like all his stories about like you know, he stayed at like Guy Clark's house, and then that's when he wrote. Was it Pancho and Lefty? Was it that song that he wrote when he was like asleep?
I don't know the story about Pancho and Lefty. Forgive me.
I don't know if it was Pancho and Lefty. It might not have been Pancho and Lefty, but anyway, it was one of his most well-known songs. It might have been If I Needed You. If I needed you, would you come to me?
I feel like, what was he going through when he wrote that song?
But no, sorry, that's the crazy story. Sorry, I forgot to sort of like actually say what the dealio was. He was like round Guy Clark's house, and he fell asleep, and he said he said that he wrote the song in his sleep, and he woke up briefly, wrote down the lyrics and the chords so he wouldn't forget in the morning because he knew he'd forget in the morning. And then he said that Guy Clark came down in the morning, and Towns was playing. I think it was If I Needed You, and then Guy was like, that's a real nice song, Towns. Like, is that one of yours? And he was like, yeah, I wrote it last night. And he was like, you couldn't have wrote it last night because you went to bed before me. And he was like, no, I wrote it in my sleep. And Guy Clark said that he was like, what the hell? What do you mean? You wrote a song in your sleep? Like, who does that? But that's like a very Towns Van Zandt thing, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, Guy Clark is like, Towns, how the hell could you write this song? It's so good.
It really is. Like,
in your sleep. I was like up all night, like, trying to write a better song than you, man. You still like.
Who does that?
Like they had a weird rivalry.
Yeah, they were like really good friends, though, weren't they? Like he was really good friends as well with why can't I think the guy? I'm actually like a massive fan of his. You know, big guy, big sort of beard, and sometimes he had a mustache. He's like super famous.
Blaze Foley.
Blaze Foley. Yeah.
But also Towns. Okay, just a little known fact: Susanna Clark.
Right.
Was like in love with Towns.
I think I heard that. That's Guy Clark's wife, isn't it?
And they would talk every day on the phone for like a few hours. So I don't know what was going on. I don't know if they were having like a love triangle, but I don't know.
Yeah, man. Hey, none of our
business.
Can't
blame her.
Yeah, well, like, you know, hey, what is that? Those folk do is up to them, you know. But it's like the thing is, he was like such a soulful guy. You can imagine that, like, spending time with him. He was a special guy as well, definitely, wasn't he? Like, even when you can watch like some 1965 rough video recording of him playing where like the audio is awful, and the fact that he's special to me, like, just freaking like is like just beaming out of the screen. I feel, for me anyway.
Yeah, just like the vulnerability that he has and that he's like able to share. It's almost like it's like very like here's my heart. Okay. And you can even feel it years and years later, which is so cool.
I love one of my favourite Town songs is like Black Crow Blues. You know that one?
Oh my gosh.
That's heavy, isn't it? That's a heavy track, but I love it.
Yeah, the guitar picking is insane. I remember like one time just trying to figure that one out. Or no, is it insane?
No, I don't think the guitar is that mad in Black Crow Blues.
I don't think it's that one. No.
Black Crow Blues. I'm trying to think the lyrics to that.
It's the one that's really insane.
Yeah, what's that? What's that?
That one is like, oh my god, it just messes me up so much.
Tell my friends to love me none.
It's Rex's Blues. It's Rex's Blues.
Yeah. Tell my friends to mourn me none. That's a beautiful song. Tell my friends
to mourn me none.
Yeah, but yeah, but yeah, again, like that's like such like you know, like such like a freaking like beautiful but like heavy song, isn't it? You know.
For sure.
But like so pretty, it's so pretty.
Yeah.
But like he had a mental upbringing. No, sorry, go on. I want you to.
I just wanted to tell you.
Yeah.
I have new music coming out.
Exclusive.
I have a single coming out. It's called Electric Lizard.
Electric Lizard. I love the name of that. That is amazing. Yeah. Name.
It's like fully produced. It's like on the grill. It's good to go. I'm going to come out with it soon. I don't know if it's going to be out this month or next month.
Cool. Oh, man.
But it's going to be out soon. And then I have another single coming out after that. And then another single coming out after that. But I'm working with like a lot of different producers and just trying to play with different sounds. It's more like in the alt country vibe. It's a little bit different and more produced, but I am going to try to get some like raw acoustic, raw banjo stuff out too, because I know that that's like that's a lot of what I do, and I don't want to neglect that either. Sure. So just a lot of I'm doing a lot right now to get new music out.
That's amazing.
And it's exciting, just like fingers crossed that it all pans out the way it should. Universe.
Well, I can't wait to play your tracks, brand new tracks on the show. I can't wait to just listen to them, but I mean, I'll play them on air. Don't worry, I'll make sure they're rinsed over here in the UK. Like, we'll proper rinse your tracks.
So you still have the sheriff's department is still going strong?
No, the sheriff's department isn't still going, but obviously I still do radio shows.
Okay,
I feel like I've had like a like several shows like since I've been doing radio, and I feel like every now and again, I would never like say like right this I'm like stopping doing a show for good, but I feel like you just need a break. Like you need like a break from certain shows. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like I think one of the worst things with music, and I think with music in terms of like writing your own music as well as like listening to music, it should never feel like forced. You know. If you're like forcing it, then it's like, why take something which is so beautiful like music, which you love so much, if you are like so passionate about music, and make it almost like an obligation. And sometimes when you've got like a show that you've been doing for a long time, and it's like the same genre of music, it's a specific genre type show, and you're just you're doing this for like years or whatever, you feel like the well's a little bit dry, and you just want to take some time away, and then I'm sure I'll come back to it. I'm sure I'll do the sheriff's department again, but I'd say like with this show Pandora's Box, which you're a guest on, like although it's primarily like like a chatting show, I'll still like put some tracks in there and stuff. So like for instance, like at the end of this conversation, like I will play some of your tracks, so that people, because it'd be real nice as well, because for people that have never heard you before, but they're like, oh yeah, Angela, she seems like so cool, and they're liking your story, they can go straight from our conversation into some of your music, so then it's like a nice little transition, so like yeah, go on.
Yeah, it's like the two, it's like dinner and a show.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the dinner
instead of just a show.
This is a show. Yeah, like 100%.
That's so cool. Well, thank you for like doing what you do for artists and for like showcasing folk music and traditional country and in the way that you do. It always feels really good to meet people who like care about this style of music, and obviously you play too, so you have a whole different understanding of what this music means.
Well, thanks. I mean, one of the things that I said to I think I've said to Drew before is like, to be honest, the thing I like most about doing the radio is like being able, even if it's like in the tiniest way, if I could like bring a band or an artist that I like am invested in, because let's face it, you do feel emotionally invested in the artist that you care about, but they feel almost like they're a part of you, don't they? That's how much you care about them. That's how much their music means to you. Like, if I could bring some of their music to even just one new listener and let the listener experience how amazing that music is and the beauty of that music, so that they can open up a whole new world to them, but also for the musician themselves, like helping spread the gospel, helping spread that to like new ears. Like, that's such a beautiful thing to be able to do. That's like the thing by far that I like most about radio, about being a radio host,
Yeah, it's so cool that radio is really amazing, and hosting seems really fun too.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Like, today is super fun because it's really fun talking to you. I mean, it's let's face it, right? It's a good job. It's a good job. Obviously, it's super fun when you have like like someone that that's fun to talk to, and it's nice. That's obviously the best part of the job. So yeah, that's super awesome. But sort of like, you're getting back to you, because I know you said that you moved to Nashville, but you've been around all over the States. So like, what was that experience like? Just like traveling through the States. Have you got any like sort of like, what were your favorite states? Have you got any sort of like interesting stories or anything like that? Like, because America's a fascinating place. I always think about North America. Like, you can go to like, you can experience so many different types of life in North America, like in the US, like, because you've got like states that are like snowy all year round. You got like Colorado, which is like just full of like red rocks and stuff, and then you got like you've got like those farm states like Ohio and stuff like that, and then you got California. It's like, it's so much going on in the US.
Yeah. There's like, so the places that I remember where my car is broken down.
Oh, yeah.
I remember those places a lot. Like, let me think of a good road trip story to tell you. That would be funny. It's typical. It's a typical American thing, right? Like, we have the book On the Road by Jack Kerouac, so like a lot of people read that, I think, and like want to travel, and then influencers travel, like people travel in their vans. It's all good. I'm a Sagittarius, so like travel is just always like, that's the Archer travel zodiac sign. It's like I love to do it. It feels good for me. It feels good for like my brain to be moving. I mean, I went out to the West Coast this past year, and I checked out
like California. Or?
Yeah, like I checked out all that stuff. And it's such a different energy than the East Coast where I grew up. It feels like just the coast is so big and everything's so like large and kind of spread out, and the trees are so big, like the redwood trees. Oh
yeah, the biggest trees in the world.
They're
aren't they?
so big. They're like, you can't even see the tops of them, and the ocean is just like so different. The coastline is all jagged, and you can just drive all the way down the coast. And then the desert is too. The desert, a different energy also. Like, I did not grow up with that. I grew up with
more like
rolling
inner
hills,
California sort of thing.
4 seasons. Yeah, inner California, right? Like Joshua Tree, and that's more like Arizona. But I would encourage everyone to travel, but also just like, it's not everything. It's nice to have a home, and it's nice to feel your people. Of course,
100%,
your people are everywhere too. You can find.
What did you think were like some of the most like stunning states to you, like personally? I know one place that I'd really like to go. I mean, there's lots of places in the US I'd like to go. I'd love to go to Colorado and Texas because of towns, and Nashville. I've already told you I'm like gagging to go there. I always think that Georgia seems like a super cool place, and but Montana is one place I'd love to go, like hiking in Montana. Like, I like hiking, and I just love nature. And I just think whenever I see like videos or pictures of Montana, I just think like, man, that's like looks like some like heavenly place, I mean, obviously preferably don't get eaten by a bear, but other than that, just like the snowy mountains, but then these beautiful rivers and lakes, and then these like luscious forests. Like, to me, that's like heaven. That's like my ideal climate,
Yeah, I just hope like all of the national parks are awesome. I mean, like, obviously there's so many. There's even one out in East Tennessee called the Smoky Mountain National Park. And the Smoky Mountain National Park is the most frequented national park in the whole country.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's the busiest.
Because you hear so much about like Yellowstone and stuff like that, don't you? But you don't hear about it. I think I have heard of Smoky Mountain before. I'm pretty sure I have heard of it, but not obviously as much as other places.
Yeah, the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, and the mountains are smoky and they're foggy, and there are lots of black bear, and the black bear are just like, oh my god, there's all this food from these people who like left it, and there's so many little bear, and they just want to like gobble up your food. I think like they're like, wah, 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 wah. Yeah, eat all your food, and then you're like, I'm gonna put my food in like a safe place. I'm gonna tie it up so that these bears can't eat it.
My mum went to Colorado quite recently actually, and she said that she was like staying in this like cabin, and you know, there was like this big bin around the back, and it said like it had like it had like a lock on it, and there were like bear claws like down the bin, and it said like there was a sign like, make sure you lock the bin because the bears are gonna come like either way. Like, so cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I thought about moving to New Mexico after I visited I visited New Mexico, and I thought about moving there, and
like Albuquerque or something like that.
It was near like Taos.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the people out there were really cool. This lady named Bryn. She had an eye patch, and she had a dog named Cookie, and it was a wolf. It was like a quarter wolf, and her dog name was Cookie, and she fed it steak straight off the table. Wow. I was like, oh my gosh. It was just different. And then yeah, New Mexico is really cool. I don't know though. I don't know if I can be that far away from my kin, because all my kin live in Pennsylvania. And so like, they don't live in Nashville, but yeah, they're still pretty close, and like that's way out. Like that's like way out in like nowhere wilderness, dude. So.
Did you say it's called Smoky Mountain? Yeah, is that a part of the Appalachian Trail? Or
yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I thought it was. Yeah, because that's quite like a legendary. Yes. That whole Appalachian Trail is pretty legendary, isn't it?
Yeah, but like there's snakes on the Appalachian Trail. Like you have to be really careful. Like especially as you head north, because I've done part of it, but I haven't done the whole thing. And like there will be snakes coming out that will bite you.
Yeah.
Out of the rocks. And so you have to literally tap the rocks with like a stick to scare them away while you. So it's not a nice place. Like it's treacherous.
Yeah.
It's brutal. Like you can. Yeah. And then there's an area called the 100-Mile Wilderness where you don't have any access to food for 100 miles.
That's crazy. So that's like,
is it
if you get like stuck there, then it's like a barren wasteland. It's like Mordor.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you have to go through here, like go through this passageway, like the gates of hell, and then once you're on the other side, you're good. But yeah, it's just crazy stuff. Like why do we have that here? Why do we have these like giant long trails in America? I don't.
One of the things I find like really fascinating about the US as well, and it sort of ties into the UK as well, because we have such like rich folklore here. And there's, as we were we touched on it a bit earlier, you know, there's so many tales of like pixies and wizards and like goblins and gremlins and, you know, all these things, like werewolves and vampires. But it's like, there's so much like cool folklore that's come out of America, and you hear so many cool stories. Like we talked actually about it a lot on Pandora's Box, because we don't always have guests. Sometimes we'll just like talk amongst ourselves about like just cool stuff. And I've always been like fascinated in like the supernatural and stuff. And there's like Appalachian Trail, you know, you hear about people going missing, and like, you know, like different stories, like, you know, their bodies were never found and how did they go missing. And there's obviously that thing called the missing 411. Do you know about that, the missing 411? Yeah, you should look into the missing 411. You strike me as the sort of person that would find it interesting. Yeah, look up the missing 411. This isn't all in the Appalachian Trail, the missing 411, but it's like in different places around America where basically people have like disappeared without a trace. And people like don't know why, and there's like different people and like theories about where they've gone, and some people have like stories. Some people have like come back and said that like they were like abducted by like strange beings and stuff, like strange creatures and stuff. And I'm like, well, you know, whether that person's like actually onto anything or not, that's a cool story, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. Wow, I'll have to look it up. That sounds intense.
Yeah, like, you know, that whole thing of like cryptozoology, like I'm not sure if you're into it at all, but there's so much stuff like that in the US. Like,
cryptozoology?
Yeah, so it's like the study of like creatures that may or may not exist. But, you know, have you heard of like,
Michigan Dogman?
Bigfoot, you know, things like that. Or like what's that? There's loads in the US, isn't there? There's like, what state is it that has like the frogmen? Have you heard about that?
I've sounded crazy. Frogman, but I know for a fact that there's a frogman. Like that just makes so much sense.
I know for a fact
like there's definitely a frogman.
Yeah. Have you heard of like Michigan Dogman though? Have you heard of that?
No.
You haven't heard of Michigan Dogman? No, that's great. Oh, that's like some weird thing.
I'm sure my friends have. I have some like really weird ass friends that probably know all about it. But
like skinwalkers, things like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, like I've heard of like skinwalkers, and the thing that's crazy is that I like, you know, like lizard people, like David Icke. Talks about the lizard people. Like
Drew went to a David Icke like seminar in the UK.
Yeah. Oh my god!
How was
it? Like,
but yeah, sorry.
Like,
go on.
Yeah, I mean, I used to like, I used to have a partner of mine read me David Icke before going to bed. Like, it was like soothing.
The reptilians are coming.
Yeah. Just like soothing AF. But like it's balanced.
I love how to you that was like soothing AF.
I don't know. I just, for some reason, like I think what he's trying to do is just break us out of like our small-minded like vision. Yeah, like it may not be true, but
yeah. I remember like hearing like I watched a documentary on David Icke like years ago, because obviously in the UK he's like a quite a big and quite a controversial figure, because he was like a goalkeeper for like a famous like English like football, well we call it football, soccer team, like back in like the 80s. He was like a goalie, and then he started turning up to like interviews with like tinfoils on his head and stuff, and he started going on about like lizard people. And I watched a documentary with him, and it was really fascinating, going on about how he thought, like, you know, the Queen of England was like a reptilian, and like the Queen Mother, and obviously they're both passed away now, but you know, that whole royal family, and how like, I think it was like the Bushes, and maybe like, you know, the Roosevelt or something like that. You know, there's quite a lot of people he was saying that were like, you know, lizard people. I was like, the main thing I took away from it was that I really wanted to get a really good lizard man costume and then go and knock on his window at night. That was my main takeaway. You know, just like a prank.
Yeah, he'd be like, oh my god, mother, she's like, revealed herself to me.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He'd be like, I should have released all their secrets, they're gonna get me.
Yeah, it's really fascinating stuff. Yeah.
There was a television series in the 80s called V for Victory. That was like a US sci-fi program that was all about lizard people taking over the world. Have you ever heard about
that? What is it called? V for what?
V for Victory, I think it was called. Or it might have just been called V.
Is it related to him at all?
Not other than apart from the lizard aliens. But I tell you what, if you want some good entertainment and you're into like lizard people, try and find some stuff on YouTube. You'll find something. But I'll tell you, it was one of those like epic 80s. There was something about the 80s that they knew how to do movies and that. You know, those like synthy sounds, and the special effects were so good, man. I love it. Like, yeah, it was a really good show. Anyway, check some of it out. That was actually I used to watch it with my mum when I was like a little kid, and I freaking loved it, man. There was like the scenes where like the lizard people would like, they came to Earth and they looked like humans, and then like people would like slowly finding out that they were like not really humans underneath. They were like lizard people, and there's this like scene where they like eat someone and that.
Maybe David Icke saw that as a child and then subconsciously like thought that he was doing something new, but like it's really just
maybe
that.
Maybe. What was it about it that you found soothing when your like ex-partner was like reading that to you when you were going to bed? Like what was soothing about that to you?
Like what was soothing? So like it was just about like just breaking like out of, you know.
It's
like,
interesting, isn't it?
The shell sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then we're told, like, I think just questioning authority too. I've always been like we're told that all these people are so like to be like, you know, bowed down to and worshipped, or like lauded for their good deeds, but then just bringing like what does it really mean to be like to like be someone who wants to change and help people for the better?
Yeah.
Like is it that you have to be this like royal person, or is it something that we can all be when we like take responsibility? I don't know. I just felt like at that time it like
It was good for you at that moment. At that moment
at
in
that
time,
moment
that's
it
what was
worked.
right for you. Yeah, I think it's interesting, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
No, sorry, go on. Were you going to say something else?
Oh no, I'm good.
I was just going to say, like, I think it's interesting when you look into like politics, regardless of what country around the world. It's like, I think almost like if you decide to be a politician, I already think that's almost like shows a worrying thing about yourself, because it essentially shows that you think that you know better than everyone else how everyone should live their lives. And I think there's sort of like a level of arrogance that goes with that, which to me is a bit off-putting. Like I sort of live my life the way I want, and as long as people aren't affecting me, or I don't feel like I'm sort of being like, you know, disrespected or trampled on, and my loved ones aren't either, then I'm sort of like, you do you, you know, I don't care, you know. So I think it's almost like a bit worrying, isn't it? Like why are some people born with this thing like, no, actually the world must be shaped how I think it should be shaped, and that's the only answer. Like, that just instantly sounds like you're a bit crazy from the get-go, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I never understood politicians really, or like why. Yeah, just why they're.
And I'm sure some of them are really well-intentioned, don't get me wrong. I'm not like, you know, because people are people, aren't they? You know, you're going to get some good teachers, some bad teachers, some good cops, some bad cops, some good you know, so I'm not like saying that like they're all bad.
But the worst thing, Calum, is when artists start taking like any type of political stand.
I hate
I'm just
that,
like,
yeah. Like Bono.
I'm just like, yo, maybe like don't do that.
Shut up, Bono.
Yeah, exactly. Shut up, Bono.
Wait,
No,
Bono.
Shut up, Bono.
Just sing Sunday Bloody
Just
Sunday,
sing.
Bono.
Just sing, Bono. Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to hear. The artist is that's not your role. But
it's like fame goes to their head, doesn't it? And then they just suddenly feel like they suddenly want to preach to everyone about stuff.
Yeah, or they take someone like Morgan Wallen and they're like, you know, he's a bigot and he's not saying great things and he's racist, and like, yeah, he didn't say great things, but like the dude didn't sign up to be like a spokesperson for like human rights. He's a singer.
Yeah, I have to say I don't
like,
actually know who that is. Who'd you say they were called?
Morgan Wallen.
I don't think I've heard of them.
He is like a huge country artist and a lot of people still love him despite his remarks that he's made.
I might have played one of his tracks and I just can't remember, but sorry. But go on.
It's okay. I know friends who have like written for him, and they literally bought houses because they wrote a song for this guy.
Wow, that's so cool.
Like, he's like multi-platinum. But yeah, I just don't think that everyone yeah, so I try to just stay neutral.
Separate
with
like
everything.
the politics, or like what is it they say? Like separate the art from the artist. That's like that saying. Have you heard that?
Yeah. And that's safe, and that's safe to say, and like, morality in general. Like let's just let people be who they are, and if you enjoy their art, then great, support it. If not, then don't.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, 100%. And I think it goes to show as well, like, if somebody's like art as well, like, is resonating with you, you obviously are like linking on some level. Maybe they're just in a different like part in their life to you, so you're looking at certain things in a different way or something. I think that we're all guilty of it. We can all be quite judgmental at times, like gut reactions and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think it's like good to try and ignore that as best we can. You know.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, it depends. Obviously, it depends on the situation. Like, you're not going to, like, see somebody, you know, like, you know, if you obviously see somebody, like, hard up, you just, like, help them. It doesn't matter, like, you know, like, what I mean is like, some things aren't, like, subjective. Like, if somebody is, like, say, was getting, like, abused by somebody, and you, like, ran over and stopped them, the person saying, oh, yeah, but this guy did that to me, it's like, yeah, but, man, you still shouldn't probably be, like, you know, maybe you've, like, hit him once, don't, like, kick his head in, you know? Like, if you're that annoyed, you know? Like...
Yeah, some things are like very personal experience vibes, and some things are just objectively like wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
Are like wrong and like.
But you can get super complicated when you start getting in this territory. So it's like, can't you? Like, it's like things can get like so complicated like, so quickly. Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you have like a bit of an existential crisis, and you're like, oh, I'm just like a little monkey. I'm just like, yeah. Robot monkey.
Oh, it's like, let me just gracefully. I love that though. I love like, I for people Yeah, people are funny. But you should come to Nashville.
Yeah, we totally should.
Honestly, I feel like you wouldn't ruffle too many feathers, but you might ruffle a few feathers.
Yeah? well, hopefully like in a good way though, you know?
Oh,
Controversy
yeah,
creates cash.
Yeah. No, like like people here are like so chill. They have that southern vibe, which is like just mad respectful and just really like they're just curious. They have a healthy level of like curiosity. I feel like in the North, people are really quick to judge. Like they know who you are immediately. And in the South, they're more like they just take their time. They're slow and they're slow to like reach conclusions about others. Honestly,
like all those southern states, it seems so much more appealing to me. As I said, because obviously everyone's heard of that southern hospitality. I mean, obviously, let's face it, in like British media and that, partly because we speak the same language and partly because we're so like linked, partly by DNA and movies and programs and all sorts of things. Like, you know, obviously we hear about America a lot in the UK, and that southern hospitality, as I said, just stands out to me like so much. I say I have no interest in going to somewhere like New York City or even like, you know, or like Los Angeles, really, you know, somewhere like that. Like, I'm not saying I wouldn't ever do it, but, you know, I just would much rather go to like Texas, Colorado, you know, like Tennessee, places like that, Georgia, far more up my street. I think I've written down some questions that I'd like to ask you.
Answer.
The thing is, I don't want to like forget anything before. Oh yeah, that's just like a nice simple one. Who are your favorite artists at the moment?
Oh, good question. My favorite artist at the moment. Okay, there's this guy named Jody Stetcher.
Jody Stetcher.
Yeah, it's like Stecher, and he's like an older folk artist.
Sounds so cool. I've never heard of him.
Jody Stetcher. Who else am I digging at the moment? Let me just look at my Spotify. Alex G. Sandy Alex G is amazing.
Okay.
He is really, really good. Obviously, like I'm always into Towns.
Yeah.
As well.
Oh yeah, I mean you both.
What are your favorite?
Sorry, go on.
Go ahead. And John R. Miller is someone I've been really, really.
I've played some of John R. Miller's stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, really cool. I've like his writing is so good, and I was so happy when I discovered like his new album. Yeah, and then.
What about like all time? Would you say? What about like favorite artists of all time? That's a big one.
Favorite artists of all time.
They don't obviously have to be in like order or anything, because that's impossible, isn't it? When people like ask me like, "Oh, what's your favorite in order?" I'm like, I can't say in order because it depends on the day, you know.
This is always a really difficult question for me.
Yeah, just what comes to mind? Like, what are the first things that come into your mind?
I mean, I have a lot of like Joni Mitchell and Bob Dylan records. I've been like a big collector of them, and yeah, they're just like huge for a lot of artists. So and Neil 100%. Young too. Yeah. Like yeah, those are probably my like big three ones, and they've just been my favorites like forever since I was like a teenager. So. But yeah, recently it's been like John R. Miller and Alex G. I love Sierra Farrell's new track. Okay. The Fox Hunt. It's really good.
I'll check it out. I'll check. What about like sort of like genres outside of like folk and country? Like, do you listen to many other like genres and things like that?
Well, recently, like this past year, I started getting more into, like we were talking about, Typo Negative.
Yeah.
I think I'm just expanding, and like. I like there's this certain organic element. Sometimes it's like a synthy element, and it can be like it can come out in a synth, or it can come out in a banjo, or it can come out in like in a heavy metal riff, and it's just like a trancey vibe, and it doesn't really matter what the genre is. If it has like that trancey vibe where I can just get really meditative and like feel my emotions, I like love it. So I'm starting to get more and like expand outside of into like synth. Like just
so you're really into like synth, like both like metal stuff but and synthy stuff. Do you ever like you listen to like synthy metal stuff, because that's obviously putting them together? Because I love some synthy metal stuff.
I don't know enough about metal or synth music to really know.
I'll try and like send you some like synthy, like heavy rocky metally stuff that you can listen to on a rainy day.
Please do. I love what else was I listening to? Brian Eno, too.
Rings a bell.
He's like, he does like a lot of like trancey music.
Oh, right. Is that like leftover from your rave days?
Maybe. Dude, the raves were so fun. Like, and then I was like, Bob Dylan, oh, the time will come up when the winds will stop and the breeze will cease to be breathing. I don't know how that...
You should release like a Bob Dylan cover, but in like a trance style.
I think that would be so cool.
Yeah.
Like, folk music is in everything.
Yeah, for sure.
It's in everything. Like, everything is like in folk music. I hate when people are exclusionary or they're like, I don't like that. I don't listen to that. Or
we talk about that all the time, just like on like the shows and stuff like that. I always say it's weird how like people are so naturally so tribal. There'll be like, like back in the day you'd had the whole like in the UK anyway, you had like mods versus rockers. I don't know if that was also a thing in the US, but it was like mods versus rockers. Or then obviously later on you'd have like punks and metalers, and then you'd have like, more mainstream people, and it was like, no, they did not get along. And like the metalers would like turn up at the punk gigs and they'd fight and stuff. After it's like, man, like, that's one of the things I like respect about bands like Metallica, because like they created a whole new sound because they liked punk and metal. So they liked Iron Maiden, Saxon and Sabbath and all that, but then they really liked, Misfits and some of the British punk bands and stuff like that. And then, the Ramones and bands like that. And then they sort of just made this new thing which had that raw, almost fast-paced aggression of punk, but then mixed with some of the heavier riffs and stuff of bands like Sabbath, which I think is really interesting as well, apart from anything else. As like just a music fan, I just find that interesting. Like how did these genres come about and stuff like that. But yeah, to get back to the point, just like there's no point to be tribal. Like, you can like whatever you want to like. You don't have to be on like one team.
As a folk artist, you're like, who do I like say that I like? And obviously there's so much,
Yeah, sure.
I always will like cite Hank Williams or
Hank Williams was
music.
so good.
I mean, and I just like started listening. So like, I started listening to. I was driving home from South Nashville, and it was really late. I think I had like maybe smoked a joint. I don't remember, but I was driving, and I listened, and all the things he was saying were like modern day dilemmas.
Mm-hmm. What, Hank Williams?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was in the 20s or the 30s, and I put it together, and I realized like how important of an artist he is. And
I guess another thing, if
so
like
key.
Getting super deep, it just goes to show that like regardless of what century you're born in, like we're all the same. We're all human beings, aren't we?
Yeah,
super deep, man.
That's pretty deep, Calum.
Yeah.
Bring it.
Yeah, man.
Pretty deep.
Yeah, but it's true though, isn't it? It's true though.
True.
Like I say, we're all like human beings. We all have the same set of emotions. It doesn't matter if you're like living in frickin' 1200 in the Highlands of Scotland, or like you're like modern day living in Nashville.
Yeah, now people just think that they have like more like we're more like evolved, quote unquote, because we have like but no. We're just lizards. We're just motherfucking lizards, yo.
Monkeys. Lizard monkeys.
We're all just lizards. We're all just trying to get our like bag or whatever, sure. get paid and like get love, and that's like literally, and get food, like literally all that matters.
Oh yeah, man. Like I think as well, like I'm like a super simple guy, and I just think it's like if I'm like with my loved ones and I've got like some good food and some good music, that I'm like a happy man. And when you think about it in like very basic terms like that, surely that's just like what everybody throughout the whole history of time is just. That's like how to be happy, isn't it?
Food and wine and drink
good
and
time.
music and good time.
Well, yeah. One thing I was going to ask you, like, have you ever heard like many people like covering your stuff? And like, if you have, like, what's that like for you as like a musician? That's like, because you're still like really young, aren't you? Like, how are you? Like 25, something like that? Like
27.
Yeah.
I've heard people cover my stuff. It's particularly this one woman like harmonized with a banjo video I did. It's pinned to my Instagram. It's called You Say I'm No Good. It's just like a banjo song, and she was singing along with it, and I will say I was like deeply moved to hear another like female voice. It just felt like her, like she was like empathizing with me, and you could like hear in her voice she was like, I don't know. There was something about it that like really got me kind of like choked up. I was like,
I suppose it is just like, I guess being such a music fan yourself and growing up, as you said, you were like so just like almost like on a soulful level, like vibing with all that music, say that your dad used to play in his truck or whatever, and then
it
suddenly
was a truck. It was a truck, Calum.
Yeah.
I love trucks.
Man, me too.
I love trucks, dude.
Who doesn't appreciate a good truck? You know, trucks are just cool, aren't they? You know, trucks are cool.
Yeah.
What truck did your dad have? Can you remember?
He had a Chevy. It was blue. My dad had I think it was like a Silverado, maybe a Silverado.
Okay. Yeah,
he had a blue truck.
Right.
And a green truck.
Right.
All before I was like 10.
Cool.
And he also had a Chevy van.
Nice. Loved his Chevys.
Now I have a Chevy van.
Loved his.
Yeah.
Oh, do you?
Mhm.
Did you like to do that almost like, was that, do you think subconsciously or consciously that was like, yeah, because my dad had Chevys?
Yeah, because when I get in it and I like smell the smell, I like think of like when we were driving in it.
Oh,
so like just the smell
nostalgic.
of the van.
Yeah.
It's so nostalgic.
Yeah, that's lovely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so cool. I wonder because I've never like personally heard anyone do a cover of like your music, but I thought surely people must have done.
Yeah, I don't think like yet, but maybe in the future.
I'm going to do a cover of your track and release it in a couple of days. When I say release it, I mean put it on Instagram. I don't mean like.
If you do, then I'll have to like do like a reply cover.
Well, like,
to one of your songs.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll do like, you know what I mean? I'll be like, yeah.
You have to do all right. If you actually like, obviously, I'm not going to hold you to this, but if I do a cover of one of your tracks, you've got to try and do a cover of a song. I'll send it to you so you don't have to look for it.
Okay, tell me the song name.
It's called "The Lost Race of Telomar."
Okay.
And it's I'll send it to you.
Okay, send it to me.
It's a song I made about a mythical race of beings that are the lost race of Telomar, and it's supposed to be like set before recorded history. So there was these like beings, and the whole song is like the story of those beings. And it's called "The Lost Race of Telomar." It's a really silly British folk song. It's deliberately quite comedic because I was just feeling silly that day. But I think that you'd appreciate it, like from your personality, because it's like it's fun and it's silly and it's wacky, you know, and it's folk. So,
I love silly. Give me all the silly songs. Yeah. I love that.
It's a fun little track, if I do say so myself, anyway. But what like sort of like hobbies do you have outside of music, sort of?
Yeah, I love doing yoga and I love cooking, and I love hiking and nature. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And I love to read too. I love like reading Charles Bukowski. Been getting back into him recently.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm like trying to play fiddle too, but I'm not very good.
Yeah. To be fair, it's like one of the harder instruments, isn't it?
It is. I'm like, okay, I get why people, but I feel like, yeah, one of my hobbies is just, reading and then trying to learn new instruments and just, keep growing, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, just because it made me think of it, because you said, you were like into cooking and stuff. You said your dad was a hunter when you were a kid. Like, what sort of stuff did he hunt?
Like mainly ruffed grouse and deer. So we'd have venison sometimes, and then I remember one time there was just like a grouse in our back porch, on our back patio, and they had, he was like showing me like all of the parts of it and stuff. It's like so weird, and I think I'm gonna actually
like so weird. I love that.
I think I'm actually gonna go hunting soon.
Yeah,
so
that's so cool.
For the first time. So
what are you gonna go hunting?
Probably like deer.
Yeah, so cool.
It depends if my friends they do it. It's two of my close guy friends, and they said I have to like target shoot first. Yeah, so we'll see how I do with that.
Yeah, because obviously you have to be like ethical with it. You can't just like, you don't want to like accidentally shoot in a way that like they can get away, but they're like messed up. Because obviously that's like super brutal. And obviously you have to be careful as well, don't you? Like for a start, like I think because a lot of people, like some people obviously are against hunting, but it's actually way more ethical than people realize. Like you only get like a certain amount of tags, so like you can't just run around just shooting stuff indiscriminately. And also you like do it ethically, don't you? You find like older bulls and stuff like that, which are like, they're actually a danger to the younger male population, and they'll like kill them, and then it will cause like inbreeding, which will cause like diseases and stuff amongst the deer population. So you're actually you're like doing a good thing for the ecosystem, and at the same time you're getting this like fresh, nutritious, delicious meat, and it's like the cycle of life, isn't it? It's like the cycle of nature and stuff, you know?
Those are some great points, and I think a lot of people maybe don't realize that hunting can be beneficial to like a species. But yeah, it's important to like be ethical about it. Absolutely.
I could see you becoming like a bow hunter eventually.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I hope so.
You'd have to get little elf ears. Get little elf ears, and then you can pretend you're in Lord of the Rings. Yeah. And then pretend the deer are like orcs.
I think that'd be a lot of fun. Like orcs.
Orcs, yeah. Orcs and goblins.
It'd be a lot of fun. I can't wait to just like play in the woods.
Yeah, man. Don't we all? We all love playing in the woods.
Yeah.
What's your favourite food?
My favorite food? Oh, right off the top of my head, it's like I'm getting like Thai. I'm getting like pad Thai. I'm getting like
Thai's good.
Any type of Thai or like vegan Thai.
Thai is really good.
I had some really good vegan Thai last night. It was like so good. So the peanuts.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good thing about Thai food though. It's so nutty. I love it. It's just like, I mean, if you're into nuts, then that's obviously really good, you know?
So, I mean, she asked me last night, she's like, are you okay with the peanuts on there? And thank God I don't have a nut allergy, or else it'd be so difficult to like eat food. But
to eat Thai food, because like I swear like everything's got peanuts in, isn't it? In like Thai food, I love like a nice prawn pad Thai, something like that with like a lamb masa man. Oh. That's good stuff, man. That's so good. That's so good. What would you say is your favourite movie if you have one?
Forrest Gump.
Oh, beautiful movie. What a beautiful movie that is, though, you know? Literally, what a legend Forrest was.
Yeah, Forrest Gump.
Is there like a specific reason for that, do you think? Or like it just is? It just
like,
is, baby.
So, I realized it was my favourite movie when someone was like, if you're feeling like down, just put on like your favorite movie from when you were a child. And that was the first one that I thought of, was Forrest Gump. It was always on TV when I was a kid. So, I don't know. It's just like comforting to me, I think.
Lieutenant Dan.
Lieutenant Dan. Osprey, Lieutenant Dan.
Bubba. Oh, Bubba.
Bubba, it's
love
just
you,
endlessly
Jenny.
quotable. You can't sit here.
just like throwback quotes from the movie now, just until the end.
Mama?
Mama? That's like your facial expression after that.
Like Forrest Gump is like, Mama?
So good. So good. What else have I got down here then? Oh, have you got any like specific future goals or anything like that?
Probably. Something or other.
Get a house, maybe? Like,
yeah, why not?
Just try to like get a house and probably
in
try
Nashville?
to have. I don't know yet. Probably, I really want to have my own like recording studio eventually set up. That's a goal, and like to learn more about audio engineering.
Oh, that's cool. Well, like get into producing.
Yeah, I really feel like that'd be a lot of fun.
Drew's a good producer.
Yeah.
Drew's like produced a lot of his own stuff. Yeah.
Super cool, man. It's like super skillful, dude.
Yeah, I find that's the whole part of the fun with like the creative process of like writing tunes as well. Like when you get into all of the production stuff, it's like another layer that adds, you know, to just feeling what wants to come out and messing around with different things.
As well, it's like good, isn't it? Because it's like, I mean, obviously, I've known Drew since we were like 11 years old, which is like just cool because now obviously we like work together and stuff. But like I can see how Drew got into it. I mean, naturally, sort of we came to the end of like school, and when Drew was about like 16, something like that, you just obviously want to start recording your own music. So you started almost like recording stuff. Because obviously you wanted to record music and you couldn't obviously afford to have anyone else do it for you. But then because that was like, you know, we're both 33 years old. So obviously that's like 17 years now that Drew's just been like improving every year, just recording all these new stuff to the point where like now he's like a good producer, you know, as well as being a good musician. Like what more could you ask for?
Yeah, totally. That like.
And what could you ask for?
Like,
I'm selling Drew.
What could you ask for?
Yeah, check this guy out.
Just come on, yo! Like, producer plays metal, plays like Tommy Emmanuel. Let's go! I'm like,
let's go, baby.
Yeah,
let's
if you
jam.
can say, I mean, let's jam, yo. Yeah. No, seriously, being a producer is like, it's definitely a top goal of mine. I just want to add like more. I feel like, you know, it is like pretty technical, and I do feel like there are some, like, it's just. It's more like for the technical brained person, but
I have to say I'm not into it because I'm like just like a very like naturey. I'm like quite practical with my hands, like fairly, you know, like I love gardening and stuff like that. But I don't really like being on computers and stuff, really.
Right, I'm just like I can like hear parts in my head, and I think that the challenge is just like connecting like what I hear with what like happens. And so it's super helpful to have like minds around that can like be hands-on or can even just like technically create the sound. So I find myself working with a lot of different creatives in Nashville that like know how to use software because it helps me because I can like work with them and kind of like be like, this is the energy that I want. I don't know how to play it, and I don't know exactly how to edit it, but like, can you do it? Let me tell you. Let me like show you. Let me like give you what I'm feeling, and then they can translate it into sound.
I think as well, isn't it? Let's face it. Like, if you're just yourself with a guitar, there's only so much you can do, and if you're hearing like all these different parts and you want to layer that up, like the only option is to get it like produced. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's a beautiful thing with like collaboration with other artists and stuff, because that's something that I struggle with sometimes as well. Like when you do kind of do all the production and everything yourself, like I go in my own little cave with it and I'm writing and stuff, but then I don't collaborate so much with other artists. But I can imagine that's a really nice thing. Like you're saying, you're like working with like lots of different producers and stuff like that. Will be all different flavors coming in, and nice fun human interaction.
Yeah, it's a new thing for me because I was kind of like, no, this is my music and I have to do it all myself, and I have to like, has to be one way. But I think it's been like healthy to just let other people do it, because it's not like my art anyway. It's gonna be online. It's gonna be it's gonna be like listened to and heard. So that's just where I'm at though. I think it's really cool to like do your own stuff too.
You seem like really like almost like very like open and stuff, like as a musician anyway though, because obviously like where I've been following you for a couple of years now, it always seems like at gigs and stuff you'll be playing with like random musicians, and well, they're random to me anyway, you know, like different people, but it's not even like the same lineup. Sometimes you'll be playing on your own. I see you playing with like a lady fiddler like sometimes. Some guys sometimes there'll just be some random dudes playing guitar or whatever, or you know, like you seem like you're almost like up for it, like whatever, like.
Yeah, I try to flow with it. I think it could help me to have more structure, like a more solid, you know, like band. There's like a benefit to flowing and being open. There's also like, it's also cool to be more structured. But yeah, I mean, as a solo artist, I kind of just go wherever and play my gigs, and you know, just kind of show up. So
just show up and just do whatever.
I mean, that's kind of
I was listening to a song the other day. I'd never heard it before. It was a cover. It was on your YouTube. It was quite an old video, and you were like playing a song, a really nice song. I don't know who did the original one, and you were like playing it with like a makeup brush or something. It was like a mahogany guitar with like a cross on it or something. What track was that? I thought that was a really nice track.
Oh yeah, that was Dragon Eyes by Adrian Lenker, who is a great artist that you should check out.
I just thought that was quite. Yeah, I will definitely. I just thought it was quite interesting because I was like, oh, I should play with a makeup brush.
Yeah, it was like
just like nice and soft.
It was just the sound. The sound was really fun. That was a Martin guitar. I remember which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that. That was cool. That was like, East Nashville bedroom style.
Yeah. Are you like a guitar nerd? Are you like really into your guitars or not really, or?
Honestly, so I just know what kind of guitar I like immediately when I pick it up. Like,
okay.
I can like play a guitar and just say like this isn't really for me, but I don't know.
Look into like makes and like so much. It's just more like if you pick it up and you like it, you like it. Is it sort of that? Or?
I like trust my guitar nerd friends to tell me what's up, and then.
You don't care, like, you're not like one of those people like,
good.
I'm only going to play this certain type of wood, or like, you're not like that sort of thing. No,
I can't be like that. Like my life, like life is like too short, and like I'm just not a guitar nerd. I wish I was a guitar nerd, but unfortunately,
guitars are just cool, aren't they? I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a guitar nerd. I do think guitars are cool. And I think it's like beneficial to know a certain amount about guitars. I think it's really interesting how obviously like steel string guitars were invented in America because obviously everyone used to play what we would call like classical guitars nowadays.
Oh, yeah, true.
But then apparently, do you know why steel string guitars were invented?
For like bottleneck?
Well, it was because when bands would play live, obviously this is like years before anyone had any amplification, certain instruments would sometimes drown out the guitar in, and obviously nylon string guitars have like a much softer sound and can get lost in the mix of like a big band that'd be playing in like a big bar somewhere in the Wild West or something. So they invented steel string. Yeah, that's how I'm seeing it in my head. Sheriff Voight. But
Sheriff Voight
down at the sheriff's department. But yeah, so they invented steel string guitars just because it's just louder. That's literally the only reason they invented it. But then I think it was Martin was the first one that did it, and yeah, that's why it's such like a legendary guitar company as well, isn't it? Like Martin, they were like the first steel string guitars on the planet.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it? Pretty cool.
Those steel string guitars, yeah. I always think of like some of my favorite guitar sounds are like early blues. And I've watched a lot of documentaries like about like the R.L. Burnside documentary where they go down to like the Mississippi Hill Country and all the guys, and there's a guy who like doesn't have like a hand really, like he's missing multiple fingers.
Yeah.
And he's playing with like a butter knife.
Cool.
Like he's kind of like laying the butter knife down to bar the notes on the neck, and then like his hands are just
almost like using like a slide, or
totally. Like he had been in so many like tragic accidents that he just
that guy's unlucky. Like how many fingers are you gonna lose, you know?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Like right. But I always thought that was so cool how that style of music just kind of like developed out of a group of people, and maybe like gospel music, or maybe like from working in the fields. I don't know like what exactly like Black populations, like where the songs came from, but it's like adapted so to be with what they have, and it's not like so like guitar, it's like here's a guitar, what are you gonna do with it if you've never seen this instrument before? Like I'm gonna play with a butter knife. Like you just it's just you don't like. I feel like in a way like growing up I never really had like a guitar role model. It was always just like what kind of sound does this instrument make, and like what can you make? And in a way, it's cool to see what kind of music just like happens in places where people have never even like heard, you know, much music.
Yeah, 100%.
What naturally comes out.
Yeah. I think it's really cool, and like a lot of town stuff is like super bluesy, isn't it?
It's so bluesy.
Yeah, so bluesy. I love that song.
You know
it's like,
why?
No, do you? Oh.
He likes the blues, baby.
I tell you, I always think it's like quite like a random funny song, but I love that song that's like, if I had $1 bill, yes, I believe I surely will. Go down and drink my fill early in the morning. Well, gotta buy her a diamond ring early in the morning.
In the morning.
You know that song?
Yeah, the timing is so fucking weird in that song.
It's so cool, and it like there's that weird little effect he's got like on his voice or something, which makes it sound like there's like a little alien singing along with him. Do you know what I'm on about?
Oh my gosh, honestly,
it's like a bit like that. I'm gonna. I don't know. Let me see if I can get it up so I can just play you the intro, like just down the mic a minute, so everyone knows what we're on about. But we'll stay talking because although I don't know how long it's gonna take me to get this freaking song up. But,
well, my roommate in Nashville, like she like someone I used to live with, I've like obviously lived with a lot of musicians and a lot of different like music houses and that sort of thing. She covered that song.
Did she?
I was like, what is that? Meredith? And I was like, oh, it's Dollar Bill Blues. Okay. And then, so people love towns down here.
I tell you another one that's a bit like that, which I love, which is just so funky. It's got this funky bass line, is Hunger's Child. Well, some call me Hunger's Child. Somehow blew away. You know that song? It's like, but the bass line's like, it's
by
like
Towns?
Yeah, the bass line's like what's keeping it pumping though. It's like this pumping bass, and I think she knows my name. Bum ba dum bum down bum bum dum ba dum. It's like super cool bass line. Yeah, is it this one? Listen to this. This is the bass line. But that bass line, I don't know how I can hear it down the mic, but how cool is that? How cool is that? I just think every time I hear this song, I'm like, man, I need to buy a bass guitar and just pump that out at home. Yeah, and then the other one that we were on about is
Dollar Bill Blues.
Dollar Bill Blues. Yeah, where's Dollar Bill? Oh yeah, this. Listen to the weird alien effect. Can you hear the little alien? Can you hear the alien, Drew?
Yeah.
Yeah.
High pitch.
Can you hear that little alien? It's like really metallic-y sounding, isn't it?
Yeah, that's crazy.
To be fair, I just realised I could have just played that through the PC like a normal person. And
Yeah, like literally got it on the radio there. Like you.
Yeah, I could literally just play it, but I'm a bonehead, so yeah.
You can't. No, but it's like more authentic with the phone.
Thanks for backing me up, Angela. Yeah.
I didn't know you had a PC to just play it. So.
Yeah, we like I'm still living in like the 90s though in my head. So as I said, I'm not really like a techie guy. Like Drew's quite techie. I'm not really techie. Like as I said to Drew like quite recently, like my idea of like bliss is like just living in like a cabin in the middle of nowhere next to a lake and like playing a guitar to like a frog. I don't care about like I don't know. I just don't care like even like saying about like recording so much. You know what I mean? I'm just like a bit of like I think one day I just want to live in the middle of nowhere and just sort of just be like a hermit, you know, like a hermit, like Tom Bombadil from Lord of the Rings.
Tom Bombadil is from Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, you know, but he's not in the movie versions. He's just in the book versions. So.
Oh, I don't know a whole lot about him, but that's cool.
He's just like this really like strange sort of guy, and nobody really know what his story is. But he lives like in the middle of the woods, and he sort of like helps the hobbits like near the beginning of the story. But yeah, that's my goal.
Sweet. That's a good goal to have. I mean, like, are you gonna have like? Are you gonna hang out with like the birds and the like?
Yeah.
Are you gonna get like a sheep or something?
Yeah, maybe a goat probably.
A goat.
Yeah, a goat. Some chickens. You know, maybe have like a little like fox that just comes around every now and again.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah, that sounds so sweet.
Yeah, you should let us know like if you ever like have any plans or if you suddenly decide ever like to come over to the UK, then like make sure you get in touch because obviously we'll like try and help you out like as much as possible. The same way that obviously you said that you'd help us out if we come to Nashville, which we definitely will. You know, just as you were saying, you know all the places to go, like all the stuff. So we would reciprocate that and just make sure that you're looked after while you're in the UK, and we could do like a cool live session with you because we have like a live session room over in this like other building in our town. We could do that and try and get you some gigs and stuff. I mean, yeah, just something to like just keep in your noggin, just in case you suddenly one day think, do you know what, I want to go to the UK. You know.
I have my passport, so I'm like, I think I'm good to go. I think I'm good to visit at hopefully like 2024. We'll see. We'll see if I make it across the pond in this next year. Hopefully I could set up some shows in the UK too, and just make it fun.
we would do our do our best to try and like hook you up with some gigs and stuff. Like obviously we know like the sort of the big local promoters, but I mean, say we try and hook you up as best as we could.
Oh, sweet.
That'd be freaking awesome. Do you have anything else like you would just like to almost like a message you want to send out to the universe or anything like that before we like wrap up, or anything else you want to say at all? Or
just like don't force anything, like let it flow out of you the way that it naturally would, because that's the gift of the universe. I don't know.
I think you should write. I think you should write a song with a funky bass line like Townsend called "Don't," and it should just be called "Don't Force It."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe when I get off this call, that'll be the thing that I do. Funky
bass line, don't force it. And I'm sort of imagining in my head also it's got like a little bit of like a push it vibe, you know? That's like push it, isn't it?
Yeah, like a little. Yeah, that's what, or like a little voice like, don't force it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Force it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah, totally. Okay.
But
right,
anyway, it was that's so cool. You guys are funny, and this is great, and
I've absolutely like loved talking to you. Honestly, I could quite happily talk to you for like ages more, but I'm sure you have to get on with the rest of your day, and it's actually like getting like, it's not getting late here, but it's like 7 p.m. in the UK, so we gotta be getting on doing stuff. But yeah, thanks so much, Angela. I've loved talking to you.
Calum.
As I said,
thank you so much, Drew.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, I've been like such a big fan of yours for so long, and I just love your music. I just think you're such a God-given talent, you know, like, and I don't throw around that word like lightly, you know, like just so talented. Like your songwriting just blows my mind, and I like really freaking mean that. So it's been absolutely so nice to talk to you. Such a like-minded individual, just like, you know, light-hearted, just like relaxed, chilled, funny, silly. Like I love it. I absolutely love it. So just like keep doing you, keep bringing out music, and yeah, thank you so much. Let's make sure we stay in touch, and we'll let you know when we're coming to Nashville. So everybody, this was Angela Autumn on Pandora's Box with us. We're gonna play one of her tracks now. We're gonna play I think Dancer first, but we'll play a couple of her tracks.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Dancer, baby. We've got the lady herself right here. We're gonna like harmonise it. Angela's vibing to her own track.
Am I supposed to stay on?
Well, as long as you want to.
You can talk about the answer, but it's written on